Welcome to episode 0 of the Software Lifecycle Stories podcast. In this episode, I want to share my motivation behind these podcasts and also a couple of defining moments in my career that shaped some of the key lessons that have helped me be effective over the years. I hope you'll find them interesting and useful. My name is Sivaguru. I've been in the IT industry since 1980. As one who has been keenly watching and also contributing to some of the evolutions of technology and applications of software across industries, it's sometimes interesting to see how there are different approaches to solving the same or similar problems and fulfill the user's need. I actually got into software by accident. My interest while in college was hardware, and my undergraduate project was also to build a single board microcomputer. As a student of electrical communication engineering, I was convinced that the future was in hardware, application-specific integrated circuits or ASICs, for creating specialized applications that can be embedded into devices. When I now see the buzz around IoT, I feel that my expectations were right. A close friend and batchmate from the electrical branch convinced me to learn Fortran, a language that was quite popular at the predominantly research-oriented institution, the Indian Institute of Science, where I was studying. My first program, a biorhythm calculator and printer, was my first experience in having my program running on a mainframe. And that was also my first experience in understanding what DevOps meant and its importance. Having missed an exit condition for a loop, the program started generating hundreds of pages of printout of what was a sine curve running like a spine in the middle of the page. Fortunately, the printouts were only spooled and the operator noticed that the job had to be terminated after the allocated CPU quota of a minute was over, but still produced such a huge output. He printed out the first couple of pages and then some more pages at random and felt that something was wrong. So soon, I got a call and was asked to meet the head of the computer center for having misused the resources. When I looked at the program, it all looked good, but only after a senior who reviewed it pointed out that the loop would never exit. I learned that having empathy for the users as well as the environment in production is very essential in writing and delivering good software. In a twist of careers, I got into software and my friend got into hardware and is a successful entrepreneur running a hardware design-based business, creating innovative solutions like a remote telemetry for the meteorological department that can communicate over power lines. This was in the 1990s. I still enjoy the action in this industry and many times amused at how some things appear so simple in hindsight, or how the wheel gets reinvented multiple times over, not necessarily being better wheels. In this series, I hope to bring you some lesser known personal stories of practitioners who have been there, done that. Talking about things that work and sometimes things that did not. I plan to keep the episodes conversational and breezy. I plan to have these conversations mostly extempore without any preparation for my guests. That way, I am sure that we will get the insights into some very interesting tidbits. Those would surely be opportunities for all of us to learn. I plan to talk to professionals with specialized contribution roles in the software delivery lifecycle, such as architects, business analysts, security professionals, testing experts, user experience designers, managers, and of course users for whom we create all this. I also want to bring in user perspectives, as they are the reason why software solutions are created. I remember one incident when I was visiting Chandigarh, a city with beautiful gardens. On my morning walk, I came across this gentleman, a retired Air Force officer, and we got to talking. The moment he knew that I was from the software industry, he started blaming me for the problems he has with his mobile banking application. Curious, I probed more. He said that first of all, with advanced age, it is difficult for him to remember so many passwords. His bank would not let him choose any password that he could possibly remember more easily, but insisted on having some number of special characters. His question was, how on earth would one pronounce or remember them? Then numbers, capital and small letters, but then you cannot choose any special character. Some common ones such as punctuation marks were not allowed. The second problem he has was with the screen size and the size of the keyboard on his mobile. A large built man, he said his fingers invariably ended up pressing adjacent keys, and with the password being shown as asterisk, making corrections was not possible, as he wouldn't know what exactly was entered. If he felt that he has entered the right password and says submit, he said there would be an error message with a warning that after one more unsuccessful attempt, his ID would be disabled for the day. So he would not attempt it again and wait for his next visit to the branch. Yeah, I could surely understand his frustrations. I used to conduct workshops on design for developers, not program design, but design of the solutions. What started as a 2 to 2.5 day workshop over time was reduced to an hour or so of overview, as everyone wanted to spend more time in coding and then fix or update the program based on user feedback. I'm sure that getting the developers more face time with the users before getting into implementation is extremely useful and is a preferred way of working for agile teams. More on that in a later episode. At least what I learned from this was that we need to develop empathy for the users, understand the conditions under which they work, and thereby make it adaptable based on the specific situations. Of course, that later on led me to mindfulness, which is again something that I hope to talk about or get a guest to talk about in one of the future episodes. I hope you like this concept of sharing anecdotes from our own experiences that would be interesting and useful for others as well. If you have stories to tell, I'd love to hear and feature them in future podcasts. I hope you can join me in future episodes as we explore more stories from the software lifecycle.